UK's national interest. So they've got to grow up, stop playing petty student politics, and actually stand up for the UK.
Everything's fine. The relationship's absolutely no problem at all. The fact that, Starmer wasn't invited to the inauguration doesn't matter.
Donald Trump's scathing remarks about Keir Starmer have sent shockwaves through British politics. The Labour leader, once hailed as a potential Prime Minister, now faces a storm of criticism that threatens to derail his career.
To Keir Starmer as he engages with the new Trump presidency.
Listen, my advice to Keir Starmer is to stop being an idiot.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video. But what exactly did Trump say, and why is it causing such an uproar? As we delve into the details, you'll see how a single TV appearance might have changed the course of UK politics forever. Keir Starmer's journey from Labour's great hope to political pariah is a cautionary tale of misplaced ambition and poor decision-making.
He could have a reset of government. And of course, he's not just dealing with forces in this country, he's dealing with forces elsewhere.
When he took the reins of the Labour Party, Starmer promised a fresh start and a return to the party's core values. But as the saying goes, the road to political hell is paved with broken promises. Starmer's initial ascent to Labour leadership was meteoric. He presented himself as the antidote to Jeremy Corbyn's divisive tenure, promising to unite the party and appeal to a broader electorate. The public, weary of infighting and ideological purity tests, initially embraced Starmer's more centrist approach. But it didn't take long for the cracks to show. The Labour leader's first major misstep came when he decided to skip Donald Trump's inauguration.
Everything's fine. The relationship's absolutely no problem at all. The fact that, Starmer wasn't invited to the inauguration doesn't matter.
While some praised this as a principled stand, others saw it as a diplomatic blunder that could damage UK-US relations. Starmer's absence was noted, and it set the stage for the frosty relationship that would later culminate in Trump's public rejection. But Starmer's problems weren't limited to international relations. His handling of Brexit became a textbook example of how to alienate both sides of a contentious issue. One day, he'd lean towards a softer Brexit to appease Remainers. The next, he'd pivot to a harder stance to court Leave voters. This flip-flopping left voters confused and distrustful. As one political commentator put it, Starmer's Brexit policy is like a weather vane in a hurricane, constantly spinning, but never pointing in a clear direction.
Why didn't you invite Keir Starmer to the inauguration? Well, let me tell you, it's simple. When you're a leader, you've got to have respect and you've got to stand up for what's right.
Immigration proved to be another minefield for the Labour leader. As public concern over border control grew, Starmer seemed paralyzed by indecision. His critics labeled him a liability for failing to take a firm stance on the issue. This perceived weakness played right into the hands of parties like Reform UK, who began siphoning off Labour's traditional working-class support. The Southport child murder case was perhaps the final nail in Starmer's political coffin.
Starmer has made some questionable decisions, to say the least. He's been critical of me, he's been critical of many things that matter to the future of both the UK and the US.
His response to this tragedy was widely seen as tone-deaf and inadequate. Families of the victims expressed frustration over his lack of engagement, and the public was outraged by what they saw as a failure to address the systemic issues behind such horrific events. As a result of these missteps, Starmer's approval ratings have taken a nosedive. Recent polls show Labour's support waning, with voters increasingly viewing the party as out of touch with their concerns. The once promising leader now finds himself in a precarious position, with critics from both within and outside his party calling for his resignation.
Attacks on Donald Trump. They're all now desperately trying to backtrack, and they're all desperately trying to suck up to President Trump.
As Starmer's political fortunes continue to spiral downward, a new bombshell has landed, threatening to shatter what remains of his credibility. Donald Trump, never one to mince words, has delivered a scathing indictment of the Labour leader's energy policies during a live television appearance.
Basically, he's saying you're an idiot because you need to be fracking. We want cheap energy in this country. And then Elon Musk has waded in.
The former US president's remarks have ignited a firestorm of debate in British politics, with many questioning whether Starmer can survive this latest onslaught. Trump's televised takedown focused on what he called Starmer's big mistake regarding North Sea oil and gas production. The outspoken American businessman didn't hold back.
Years. Step forward the real Keir Starmer. Difficult to know, really, isn't it? Although my suspicion is that the earlier version is probably closer to the truth than the last bit.
Lambasting Starmer's push for net zero targets and increased taxes on oil and gas producers. He's making a terrible mistake, Trump declared, his voice dripping with disdain. The UK needs to embrace fracking and lower energy costs, not cripple its own economy with these ridiculous green policies. The immediate reaction from British politicians and media was swift and polarized. Supporters of Starmer's environmental stance rushed to defend his policies, arguing that the transition to renewable energy is crucial for the UK's long-term sustainability.
UK's national interest. So they've got to grow up, stop playing petty student politics, and actually stand up for the UK.
Critics, however, seized on Trump's words as validation of their concerns about Labour's economic competence. One Conservative MP quipped, "Even Donald Trump can see that Starmer's energy policy is a disaster waiting to happen." But the real question on everyone's minds is, how will this international incident reshape the debate about UK energy independence? Trump's intervention has reignited discussions about the special relationship between the US and UK, with some arguing that Britain should chart its own course on energy policy rather than bowing to international pressure. As if Trump's comments weren't damaging enough, tech billionaire Elon Musk decided to weigh in on the controversy.
Trump has attacked him. Elon Musk has attacked him as well. Trump says it is a very big mistake by increasing the windfall tax on North Sea oil and gas.
In a series of tweets, Musk accused Starmer of technological illiteracy and claimed that the Labour leader's energy policies would set Britain back decades. This one-two punch from two of the world's most influential business figures has left Starmer reeling, struggling to defend his vision for Britain's energy future.
Trump has seen fit not to invite Sir Keir Starmer, no doubt because of his views on Donald Trump.
The fallout from this transatlantic tussle has been immediate and severe. Recent polls show Labour's support plummeting, with voters increasingly viewing the party as out of touch with their economic concerns. One frustrated Labour voter in a traditional stronghold summed up the mood, "I voted Labour all my life, but Starmer seems more interested in pleasing his Green mates than keeping our energy bills down."
Of course, I wouldn't want Donald Trump round for dinner, but don't underestimate the danger to the world if Trump is re-elected this time around.
With criticism mounting from all sides, what does the future hold for Starmer and the Labour Party? The coming weeks will be crucial as he attempts to navigate this political minefield. But one thing is clear: the Labour leader's energy policies have become a lightning rod for discontent, and his ability to weather this storm will determine not just his own political future, but potentially the direction of British energy policy for years to come. As the dust settles from Trump's scathing remarks, Keir Starmer finds himself in a political maelstrom. The Labour leader's future hangs by a thread, with criticism mounting from both domestic and international fronts. His ability to weather this storm will likely determine not just his own fate, but that of the entire Labour Party in the next general election. Starmer's journey from Labour's great hope to potential political pariah serves as a cautionary tale of misplaced ambition and poor decision-making. His handling of issues like the grooming gangs inquiry and energy policies has left voters disillusioned and questioning his leadership abilities. Recent polls paint a grim picture, showing Labour's support waning as public frustration over Starmer's perceived inaction grows.